Good morning and welcome to our Super Phoenix DAO live with Gomez from Portals, the co-founder. Super excited for this conversation. We're going to be discussing some recent updates, the partnership that we have with Super Phoenix DAO. My name is Pav. I'm going to be your host for today. I'm super excited. We're joined with the founder, Craig of Super Phoenix DAO, and the co-founder of Portals, Gomez. Let's head over to Craig first, then Gomez, and we'll get into our conversation for today. How are you doing, Craig?
Doing well. Thanks, Pav. This is great. Obviously, we appreciate having Gomez on and being able to take the time. A lot of the folks are out at GDC this week, so it's been tricky, but yeah, going well.
Amazing. Pleasure to have you here, Gomez. How are you doing? I know you're super busy, so we really appreciate your time today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Happy to be here. Yeah, we're running around GDC. Uh, Extra hectic week. We have a ton of stuff we have coming out, but yeah, no, always excited to jump on and talk about what we're building.
Amazing. I'm really excited for that. And what's the sentiment at the moment at GDC? How are the conversations? What are you seeing as a reoccurring conversation, for anyone who's not there?
It's interesting. The games industry is in an interesting spot. It has kind of been retracting a little bit for the
Yeah.
last few years. So crypto and a few new models as that might be interesting for some of the Web2 studios that were more typically averse to crypto are a little bit more interested in seeing kind of what opportunities there are as that space is kind of maturing. So yeah, a lot of great conversations, a lot of interesting things happening.
Amazing. Let's get straight into the conversation. Craig, let's have a very quick introduction to the Super Phoenix DAO for anyone who's here for the first time. We'll do the same for Portals, and then we'll get into our conversations about the partnership and so much more.
Yeah. All right. Sounds great. So as far as Super Phoenix DAO goes, like I said, it's been almost a year now. I think we're going on a year since we first came out of the gate. And really, we've been building a community within Web3, supported by game entities like Portals here and like Star Atlas as we first started out. And it's been going great. We're kind of building some of our verticals and putting things together to be that premier social and entertainment kind of hub and space inside Web3 gaming.
Amazing. And Gomez, Portals has been making waves in the virtual worlds and the gaming space. Can you give us a breakdown, a little bit about the project for anyone who's here for the first time, and then obviously the partnership with Super Phoenix DAO?
Yeah, so just super quick takeaways on Portals. We're basically building an open, decentralized Roblox-like platform where it's really easy to create games and experiences. It runs in the browser, so you can launch the games with very, very little friction. There's no downloads required. And we've kind of been really quickly growing our distribution network now, so we get the games in front of people. So really meant to be a platform that empowers creators, gets the games out there, allows them full flexibility to do interesting things in the crypto space if you're building games for a crypto native audience. And if you're not a creator, it's really something that we are maintaining a high output of really fun, crazy games that are just kind of always coming out.
Yeah.
So just about every month we'll have really fun, wild things that are kind of, starting to grow bigger and bigger with each release. So yeah, really looking forward to the one that we have coming out end of this month. And yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, really excited to chat about some of the new things that we're doing, particularly with Super Phoenix DAO, and allowing for kind of more power and flexibility with these tools when it comes to creating your own virtual economy, being able to experiment with uh, in-game tokens that are a part of the game world that you're building, to really just be able to rapidly experiment with stuff like that, and even build a full game ecosystem within one Portal's world. So yeah.
Amazing. And what specifically with Super Phoenix DAO excites you the most? I know you touched on a few things there. Is there anything that stands out for you that, initially had you think, look, this is something that I'm super excited about?
Yeah, it's really one of the first times we're still in kind of the early stages of rolling this out that we're able to do some of the things that I just touched on, where you could have your own DAO with its own token, with its own roadmap that facilitates further development into a world like this. So it could start as a mini game, but evolve into its own self-sustaining world. So that's going to be open to anybody that wants that. So we're really excited about starting to roll things like that out and supporting it and iterating and just doing a lot of cool stuff.
I don't know about you, but I'm super excited. I'm really enjoying this conversation. I think what you guys are doing at Portals is incredible. Like, the Roblox, and it's just really exciting. Initially you mentioned that we're seeing a retraction in Web3 gaming, and I think I noticed that sentiment as well. And it's almost a case of now is the time to build, right? When we're in this lull, or when we're in this slightly quieter era and it's not at the forefront, that's the time where the building happens. That's the time where these conversations happens and the partnerships are made. And as sentiment picks up, the projects that have done that, and they've been consistent throughout that, they really shine. So yeah, super excited. Craig, I wanted to ask you some questions just in relation to the shift we're seeing in gameplay, to becoming more of a social and entertainment driven ecosystems, right? We know people are spending a lot more time, 3 billion gamers on the planet, 15 billion mobile devices. Gaming is becoming incredibly social. Tell me a little bit about how the Super Phoenix DAO is building for that next evolution of like player engagement almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I think there is a bit more of that kind of pivot. And so we're absolutely embracing it. The social aspect, the entertainment aspect, and looking to build out, the DAO's vision in these spaces like we're talking about in Portals and with our collaboration in the ship and everything that'll come in Star Atlas. The idea is we're creating these spaces for the social environment, for the connection, for folks to be entertained, to take in a show, to be part of a spectator esports event, or to just kind of hang out in a very cool virtual environment, let's say between gameplay or maybe between mission play. I think there's a huge shift, toward that kind of shared experience with players. And so that's what we're really looking to kind of support and build out so that we become, like I said, kind of that hub and that go-to place for folks throughout Web3 who are maybe, in between maybe their hot and heavy mission or whatever their current gameplay of choice is at the moment.
Yeah, it was one of the things that stood out to me when we first had our Super Phoenix DAO conversation, and I actually interviewed you guys sort of like last year, and it was really just how you're thinking about this shift in how people are going to be operating within games, and what does that retention look like? What are the almost services or experiences people would want to have in game that's going to have, a massive impact? So we're going to be talking about virtual economies, gamification, all of that, in today's show. And I'm really excited about that. Gomez, with Portals, you're tapping into this shift too, right? Like, what role do you see digital concerts, virtual events, social experiences playing in your ecosystem?
Yeah, so I think one of the cool things that we do, and we're going to be doing a lot more of, is even things like interviews as a starting point, as kind of a social event.
Nice.
Everybody gathers around. We actually a few months ago interviewed Anatoly, the founder of Solana, in Portals, and
No way.
it was a lot of fun. Everybody's kind of gathered around. They're able to ask questions afterward. And it's a very seamless experience into gameplay. So you can have a bunch of people participating, socializing. You have spatial audio, so they can go into a corner of a room and have their own conversation if they want. But it's a very seamless transition into, all right, now let's play some games. Let's give away some NFTs. You could do pay to play. So there's entry into a game with the player that wins the game winning the pot. So we want those tools to just be really easy for anybody to spin up, any community. We found that has been a great entryway into the platform, where instead of doing your Discord voice chat town hall, do it in Portals, and then you also have fun games that you can play with your community right after. So kind of similar to the Fortnite music concerts, where people are watching the concert and then there's gameplay right after. So and then again, it's just done in a very low friction way, where you can just click a link and now you're in and you're participating. So that's definitely something that we see as like a really cool entry point.
The concerts that happen in Roblox got astronomical figures. I don't have them unfortunately to hand, but I know there was, a lot of people that were tuning into those. And it's a great point. Social audio, I think, is going to be one of the biggest things that happens, that comes out of the next sort of 3 to 5 years. We saw podcasts, have a massive increase in uptake of listeners, but people can't interact with those, whereas spaces and online conversations where people can get involved, ask questions, that's what people really want, to have a voice, share a voice, and connect with people. So the fact that you guys did that, you know, in game, I think is incredible. And I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that. I think this is just the beginning, and I think that's going to be growing as you do as well. Craig, how important, if we're discussing virtual economies, is user generated content and creator empowerment within Super Phoenix DAO? Like, how much are you thinking about that? We've already established that gameplay on its own is going to evolve, and we're going to see entertainment within games, and we're going to see people stick around and play those games after these entertainments. But with the economy piece that we see within that, how are you having those conversations? How are you framing those conversations around, incentivization, creators to build within game, as people spend more time in game?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point, and we're obviously thinking forward on that. User generated content is massive, and it will be going forward. I think, obviously platforms like Roblox and Minecraft and those things have proven that in many times over, and that's why I think a platform like Portals is so important, is going to do extremely well in that world, right, where the barrier to entry and the friction, as Gomen says, is so much lower. It's going to make it much easier for for players, for creators to come in and kind of have those things and do those things. And as far as us supporting it with Super Phoenix DAO, that's always been part of the vision. Right now we're working on creating some of those verticals, creating a couple of these spaces where people can interact. Even in our portal space, we're going to be working on creating that live stage, for live events, for even the town hall type of events that were just mentioned, which would be great. But going forward, there's still the opportunity, for building out the vision of the Super Phoenix, the ship itself. We've got the ideas for these, recreational spaces, for these art museum type spaces. There's obviously going to be, purchasable plots and things for users with even in the DAO community itself. So the idea that a creator could be part of our community and then be able to perform live on stage at one of our events, or be able to share an NFT collection that they've created, to the other community members, and kind of host events, sponsored by their individual content. That's absolutely something we're looking forward to, and kind of building in, the whole roadmap long term.
Amazing. And it, like I mentioned, it's fascinating just the rate at which we're seeing the opportunities arise within this industry. Like we're having so many interesting conversations about jobs being created, experiences being created also as well, and I think that's really exciting. Gomez, you guys at Portals are exploring play to mint, so that adds a new layer of gamification. Can you explain how that works, and especially within the context of the Super Phoenix DAO users?
Yeah, so that's been something we've been doing for a little while, and essentially it's framed as part of the game launches that we do in Portals on a regular basis, and is structured almost like big fun social experiences, where multiplayer experiences where you're jumping in with your crypto peers. There are prizes. There's generally an entry fee. Sometimes there's an option to kind of play for free, but you are acquiring kind of loot around that event, and you're getting NFTs that are only available during that event. So wearables, other items that can be used in future games. The thing that's pretty cool is sort of getting some of those Ready Player One elements of, let's say you get a sword or a special suit in one of these events, and it's sort of open to other creators if they want to say, okay, you have a dragon suit. We want to make dragon suits able to fly in our space. You can kind of really open up the functionality of the types of items that you get as well. So that's a really cool element. And we're also starting to kind of go a step further and add rocket fuel to that type of experience, allowing people to kind of experiment with gamified token launches in portals,
Nice.
where there's, again, it sort of ties into building out your own economy and roadmap and world that is powered by this token. And that's definitely something that, is going to be very interesting, where people are going to want to stay locked in and seeing what these game launches are and these gamified token launches are. So that'll be really fun.
Yeah, I can definitely see how that. You mentioned they're going to be really fun. Like it really just accentuates how much you can do in game, especially with these NFTs. So we are actually giving away a Portals Solana Sword wearable NFT today. All you need to do to qualify is follow Portals, follow Super Phoenix DAO, and repost this live stream right now. We're going to be announcing that in the next 24 hours. I wanted to ask. Just on the immersive tech side, Craig, just about VR and AR and how that's going to have an involvement in gameplay and ultimately these experiences, right? Like some people would argue, can you enjoy a concert, through virtual reality versus actually physically being there? Then obviously you have the whole conversations about barriers to entry to people getting to these events and the amount of people that can come if they are on AR, VR. So there's this whole conversation about pros and cons about it. But, the spatial computing side and mixed reality conversation, something I'm really interested in. How are you guys thinking about that? The Super Phoenix DAO's roles where players are engaging across AR and VR platforms?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great one, and we've already started to look into some of that stuff too, and even use a little bit of it. AR, obviously, in its current kind of state, there's some fun stuff you can do in person, which we actually took advantage of when we hosted at Breakpoint last fall.
Yeah.
We just did, a couple of simple kind of fun things for people to do. We had the full ship in 3D that you could, just scan the QR code and pop it up right there in front of you, in front of the booth, which was kind of fun, and people had that 3D representation as far as AR goes. We also worked on kind of a sort of a mini game that was a little bit Pokemon Go-esque, right? Just for that event, kind of a live in-person event. So the AR stuff works really well, I think, for some of those engagement type of things. But in my opinion, there's going to be a huge unlock, with the VR and the headsets and things once they're a little bit more, ubiquitous, come down in price a little bit and can kind of facilitate, all of the hardware, requirements that are kind of needed to make that functional. But even right now, I mean, people that are currently using the Quest or, using Apple's new headset, they're pretty amazing. And the reality is, these are 3D virtual environments that we're talking about. So entertainment environments, 3D, all virtual. And, when you can kind of talk to people, like you said, locally, depending on where you're walking around, where your avatar is, VR headsets seem like the natural progression, I think, for kind of this tech and where it's going if you want to have that full immersion kind of experience. And so the environments that we're looking to build in Portals and work with them at, and same with Star Atlas, they're going to be prime for this kind of technology moving into that space. So we're embracing it wholeheartedly. I think you can obviously, go either way, of course, what people have access to. And again, as Gomez mentioned too, the barrier to entry with Portals is phenomenally low. The fact that it's just browser based is great. I'm sure we'll be able to even get in with some of those early devices, these days, even if you wanted to. Which is very cool. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. And I think there's a huge unlock there. People will obviously use them for gaming as well, but I think the entertainment piece of it, the social, aspect of being sort of side by side, if you will, with a friend or a colleague who's maybe in another part of the world. I think those things become really important and can kind of go viral in their own nature, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, and you mentioned like the stage at which that tech is at the moment. What do you think, or how far do you think we are from, majority of people experiencing in-game entertainment or even entertainment through AR or VR? Is that something you thought about?
Yeah, it's a good question. We've, like I said, we keep fairly close tabs on it, as some of these things roll out. And I know obviously the large hardware kind of tech companies have a huge incentive to move this tech forward. there's always a bit of, physical limitation, and then obviously cost is a barrier to entry. But I do think we see that come down. I do think there's probably going to be a ramp up in that nature, or sort of a expedited rollout of these things over the next, I'd say somewhere in the 5 to 10 year range for sure. We'll see them become virtually commonplace. In my personal opinion, I think there's even, things to say as far as AI playing a part in some of this, as far as not just development goes, but even distribution and, overall access to the games and the platforms and the 3D environments that people want to experience, and therefore help trigger, kind of that pivot toward these devices.
Yeah, I completely agree. Gomez, I'd love to hear your take on where Portals has a view on AR and VR and the experience that it's going to provide. Is this something you guys are discussing? Is this something that you guys are looking at and preparing for? How much of this is on your radar at the moment?
Yeah, we're always keeping close tabs on how much market penetration there is for devices like the Quest, and the Apple Vision Pro is pretty amazing. Like Craig was saying, the tech is still out of reach from a price standpoint. But these things are always coming down in price, and the writing is on the wall that these things are pretty amazing. They can, replace workstations, just as an example. And yeah, it's definitely moving in that direction. There's a whole bunch of things that are interesting that we've considered doing. The fact that you can, let's say, build jump into your browser, you're on your desktop, but you can build, let's say, an escape room experience or something like that, and have that be distributed on, the Meta Quest, where everybody can play those escape rooms, and you have a whole library of those types of games. So there's certain genres, there's certain experiences where that, that format lends itself well to. And meanwhile, Portals is built with Unity, so it's really easy for us to go multi-platform. And we actually do have folks that are using Portals for specific use cases meant to be deployed in VR, and that's actually up and running, and they do have VR deployments going. So we do have support for Meta Quest. There's definitely the plan to also support Apple Vision Pro in the future, or whatever the next iteration of the Apple headset is. So yeah, it's definitely something that we're doing. It's like the platform is very well suited to create things. You don't even need to know how to code, things that you would otherwise need, a year-long development cycle to create a virtual, VR experience. You can now do in, hours and days without needing to know how to code. So it's really exciting from that perspective. So it's really kind of a matter of which platforms we're targeting when, and which are the biggest opportunities for growth in the shorter term. But yeah, definitely something that we, are actively building and very excited about.
Nice. And while we have you just on this section, what else is in the Portals roadmap, like for the next 3 to 6 months, or 6 to 12 months? What is it that you guys are working on? I know Craig mentioned AI there, and that's a conversation we're going to be going to next. But other than that, and the AI and the VR piece, what's at the forefront of your conversations at the moment?
Yeah, so it's a very exciting time. We're really seeing this next phase as like the true proper launch of Portals, and really the full, the tech foundation and everything is built to the point where uh, the longer term vision that we had always been building towards is now ready for prime time. And that includes some of the things that I was talking about in terms of like establishing more of a fully open, decentralized Roblox-like platform, and have that be powered uh, by the mechanics that are enabled by crypto. So you can look at Portals similar to an L1 almost, and sort of take a lot of the benefits from um, the L1s that have been successful. They've created new tech, new experiences, and looking at Portals as being able to sort of leverage a lot of the same fundamentals that have made L1 successful, where you can have a strong developer ecosystem and you're able to supercharge growth through token grants and those sorts of things that have really accelerated the development of L1. So there's a few fundamental things that tokens and crypto protocols that have worked really well. They have developer ecosystems. They have an ability to kind of attract attention, and you have obviously attention speculation. That's a big part of what folks do in crypto. And then you also have a protocol that's generating revenue and is able to allow creators to monetize.
Yeah.
So we have all of those pieces kind of coming together and really getting to a point where that full vision of all those pieces kind of clicking into place is coming to life very soon. So yeah, we're not announcing specifically yet the names of the partners that we're bringing on board to really accelerate that, but the grants
Can you give us a clue? Can you give us a clue?
we'll be announcing it soon.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, we have dozens of games and dozens of initiatives that we want to build that can generate revenue for the creators, and are working with some folks that have done an excellent job with some of the other L1s and L2s that have been successful in building out those developer ecosystems through token grants. So those are just some of the things that we're very excited about to really just kick off the platform. And then meanwhile, we always have the fun, exciting game launches that we're doing that we're also always excited about. So yeah, that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, distribution, ramping up development is all in the very near future that we're super excited about.
Amazing. I can't wait to hear or see some of those. And just to remind everyone today, we are giving away a Portal Solana sword. So all you need to do is follow Portals, follow Super Phoenix DAO, and repost the live stream for a chance to win. The announced will happen in the next 24 hours. Just before we head on to AI, I know you mentioned a few things there, Gomez. Talk me through what excites you the most about working with Super Phoenix DAO. We haven't really touched on that. I just want to get your take on where the value add is and what you're most excited about with that.
Yeah, so it's really the expression of creativity that the platform enables for whatever an ecosystem, a DAO's goals are. So if they're giving away NFTs, if they're doing events live in the space, if they're launching if they have a token that they want to integrate and create a full ecosystem of creators that can also contribute to the space. Those are all things that are very exciting, and we want to support whatever the creative visions are, whatever the goals are of the project. So yeah, those are definitely things that are new that we are kind of fully opening up the platform to make it super easy to create experiences like that and have the flexibility to do more of these things that are interesting to crypto natives. So that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, we'd love to maybe Craig has some other comments on some of the specific things that you guys are planning on launching and doing in the space, or if that's still alpha that we're gonna keep off the record for now.
No, let's definitely head to Craig. Same question. What excites you about working with Portals? Obviously, we know they're doing it incredibly well, and there's so much coming, as Gomez had mentioned. But what was the exciting big thing for you about it that had you pursue it?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And like Gomez mentioned, we're really excited about it, and we've got our unique space in Portals that we're about to kick off here, and there's going to be some really fun interactions with it, and we're exploring a lot of things he was just talking about before too. The fact that I really look at a couple of things, the low friction ability to just hop into Portals. Both for the user and the creator is pretty impressive, right? That's one of the things that drew me to it right away. When we first got in touch with these folks from Breakpoint and Solana last fall, and of course the fact that we're already building on Solana, right? We're moving forward that way. That was a really easy way for us to kind of hop over. And again, we've also been, the fact that we're partnered with Star Atlas and been able to effectively, have access to some of that IP. That was a really cool component for us too, to be able to bring over some of those familiar items and NFT like aspects, and kind of cross platform, if you will, being that it's all on the Solana blockchain, right? That made it much easier. But the fact that, we look at Portals as a platform that's starting to, they're almost reinventing distribution in a way, right? With the gamification of these user-generated spaces. And I think that's incredibly powerful. And that's something we really wanted to tap into. And so for us, we've got this whole image and this whole kind of IP that we've created and working on as far as the ship as this massive entity with all of its unique spaces and environments in it. And the fact that we can now start to bring those over and build those out kind of one by one in a progressive way using Portal's platform is just going to be really, really cool. I think a lot of engagement, a lot of ways to tie the communities together. And like I said, reinforce, what we're working on and what we're doing with our community.
Amazing. Just as we head into the last 10 minutes or the last 5 minutes, I did want to touch on AI as well. And obviously we're going to be discussing some future roadmaps. Gomez, talk me through the role that AI is going to be having in game or, with in-game economies. Talk me through how you guys are looking and thinking about AI.
Yeah, so we've been, as most folks are, very paying very close attention to everything that's happening in AI. A North Star for us has always been, and kind of where we've seen AI trending towards, and how we've kind of building our roadmap is even before the AI models were good enough. Like, we were building tools where you can just imagine it and it sort of materializes, like the easiest place to go and create awesome experiences and worlds. So now that the models are at that point, you could it's just getting so much crazier in terms of what you can do to really have that imagine it and it materializes experience. So for creators to be able to tell an agent, I want this type of environment, I want a lush jungle environment, or I want a spacecraft that is this color and appears above the environment. Whatever you can imagine, just being able to verbalize it and it appears is something that we've been building into the roadmap. There's also tons of really cool stuff with agents. We launched agents in Portals back in 2023, where you could explore new gameplay possibilities with agents. So we had probably one of the first ever quests that were agent driven. So there was a game, a murder mystery that you could solve by talking to agents. You can give them their own prompts, their own puzzles. Nice. Some people are probably going to be prompted to lie to you because they're hiding some information, but by talking to the different agents, you can kind of piece together the story. But if you wanted to, you can talk to one agent for half an hour and have a long conversation just with one agent, because it's all kind of generated on the fly, but fits within the context of that game world and that experience. So that's something that's super cool. We're very soon rolling out much more advanced agents that can also be used for gameplay. That one back then was text driven, but being able to talk to an agent with your voice and have it respond, and do that in multiplayer settings, and have it where even something as simple as a creator can go and drop in an agent and prompt it to give out a token. Again, kind of part of like a gamified token launch or whatever you're doing. There's just a ton of super cool possibilities. So simulating agents in more advanced ways where you can spin up a society of agents, and they're walking around and they have their own their backgrounds and daily lives, and all this is just super fun, super interesting. So we've been definitely leaning into that throughout the development of Portals. So lots of cool stuff coming up on that front that we haven't shown yet.
Yeah, it's not the first time you've been speaking in the last sort of 25 minutes where I've had this thought, and you're really leaning into the creativity aspect of allowing creators to really leverage their creativity, right? You mentioned, speaking to an agent and picking your background and picking your ship or, the settings that you're in. We're going to see so much creativity and so many new things come out of even just this one small sector. It's really like, it's really cool to see that you're having these conversations and you're thinking about implementing these in game, because it's going to ultimately create that in-game experience that you can't get somewhere else, right? Whether you can trade NFTs within game, or whether you have an AI agent that can set your scene, or can allow you to really explore your creative nature within that. It's really cool. Craig, I wanted to come over to you in the last 5 minutes as well. Just with, how is the DAO thinking about AI? I know from a perspective, not necessarily just from a creative perspective, but, with governance, with procedural content, or dynamic in-game economies. How are you guys thinking about it? How's that conversation being discussed?
Yeah, absolutely. We're a little past conversation, so we're actively pursuing it, which is great. And as a matter of fact, as Gomez mentioned, one of the kind of earlier implementations that Portals has available, which is sort of that text-based version, we've already got that implemented into our Portal space that we're going to open up. So instead of creating a full game manual, we've now got folks you can openly chat with, when you're on the racetrack or trying to figure out some of the components of it. That can give you hints and tips and tricks and things, right? And you can have these conversations, and they have certain bodies of knowledge already that they're aware of, but can still generate, unique conversation with each individual, which is very cool. And that's already fun. But the next, I would say, more advanced piece that we were just talking about too, that we're looking at, is absolutely when it comes to, being able to help with more advanced levels of gameplay. Being able to help with eventually some of the DAO and the governance type of models, and let's say working through some of those proposals and that whole process that'll eventually come with governance. Those are things we're looking at and exploring. But probably the one we're most excited about right now is the actual AI agents that are out there and kind of exist so far in social space. And so we're already looking at, and we're underway in the creation of a new AI agent that's going to be kind of the first rollout of a collective that we want to create of a few different agents that sort of head up or manage aspects of what we're building within the DAO. So this first one we're looking at is going to be, more of an entertainer, let's say, who can live out in social media, can interact, can grow the fan base, can direct people toward the DAO, and then eventually can also be connected, three-dimensionally and represented as an avatar, in our space and perform live in Portals, right? That's a goal with that one. But again, we also look for, agents that we can build in sort of a hospitality, or, general maintenance and logistics and security and all the types of things that we're going to need within our larger game space over time. And so having AI agents that people can interact with and then serve these sort of, in-game service type roles, I think is going to be very cool, very interactive, and provide a whole nother layer of entertainment and function.
Yeah, it's fascinating because there's so many roles, and like you mentioned, even security, like you wouldn't think of that as a service that's provided. If you're creating an in-game economy or a virtual world, you need to have the infrastructure that's going to support people when they get there. And I think the fact that you guys are thinking about that with such a broad scope, it's super important. Those conversations need to happen now, so that that can be built within the experience that people are going to have, because ultimately you get one shot, right? Within gaming or within entertainment, within virtual reality, you have that one shot and it needs to hit. So it's great that you guys are thinking about that. Really exciting.
Yeah, we're pumped. And like I said, we're already into, I would say, probably halfway through development on the MVP with this initial agent. Nice. So very excited to have that come out. Yep.
Amazing. As we head into the last couple of minutes, I know we're going over a little bit, but really enjoying the conversation. I just wanted to ask Craig, what's some of the milestones that we're looking to hit in the next 6 to 12 months? What are you most excited about? What's coming into fruition? I know so much is happening, but what are the, let's say, 2 or 3 things that you're really excited about, and the time frame for when they're coming?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're time frame is pretty condensed at the moment, and I will say we've got things that are literally happening now, and then things we're working on going out. So just to mention, as of today, so literally now, today, within the hour, we're going live with just kind of the general limited NFT mint on our website, similar to what we had last year. But just because, again, these were kind of limited windows, we were offering that mint to be open for a little bit for, folks who are interested now or want to participate, or generally get their, kind of membership, if you will, to the Super Phoenix DAO. And that kind of goes hand in hand with the fact that we just went live last week with the NFT staking program, where folks can now be earning credits toward that future launch of the DAO token. So those kind of all run hand in hand, but I would say they're sort of on the forefront at the moment. NFT staking is live. A limited mint window is open today for probably the next few weeks or so until we hit our kind of next little tranche of NFTs. And then ultimately, all of this is kind of going forward to support the eventual DAO token launch a few months out. In the meantime, though, in the entertainment side, as we said, we're moving forward with the AI agent, which we're looking, to have go live also within the next few months, which should be very exciting to kind of get that up and running out on social media. We'll have our initial connection will be in Twitter, of course, but then looking to get Instagram connected, and then also the 3D avatar versions of these things in game, right, is kind of the longer term profile. And then probably the one other item we have on the near term roadmap in the next 3 months or so is we're also building kind of a functional racing tournament bracket sort of setup, right? And so this is beginning what we kind of call like our esports vertical within the Super Phoenix DAO, right? So we want to have the full bracket tournament. Anyone can participate. You can choose your racers, submit your brackets. There's going to be a big prize. And we're going to be kind of hosting this and creating a whole like live stream profile of the racing competition, probably over a couple weekend period, with live updates and interviews and kind of, live bracket progression. So that one should be a lot of fun, really exciting. We're kind of looking forward to it. And that probably gets us the next, 3 months out, I would say. And then the longer term vision begins in sort of the 6-month window is now bringing, expanding the 3D spaces we're talking about with Portals and Star Atlas, and bringing in the live experiences, the live shows, the live town halls, these types of actual in-person events where we can start to give our community that we've built here the last year an actual place now to start experiencing these things, face to face, sort of.
Amazing. Absolutely incredible. So much cooking. I'm really, really excited. We're going to be covering all of that as well. So yeah, super excited.
Yeah.
Gomez, similar question to you. What's your long-term vision for the Portals and Super Phoenix DAO partnership? And I know you mentioned some of the things you guys have got cooking, but what are the 2 or 3 things that stand out in the next 6 months?
Yeah, so with Super Phoenix DAO, part of that is really starting to see the full expression of what's possible with the platform, and really allowing the platform to support a games ecosystem within the Portals platform, for whatever that that ecosystem wants to do. So I know there's going to be just tons of super fun, super cool things within that space, and then just generally. We have so many things coming up. The next big Portals game launch is coming up really soon, that we're doing with all the Solana communities. It's similar to our huge loot box drop that we did, where we almost, it was almost like 1 million loot boxes that we airdropped to Solana communities. So that's coming really soon. Turn on your notifications on the Portals Twitter. And then the other thing I touched on, the really big thing is, how we're seeing the full launch of Portals, essentially. So the L1 mechanics that I touched on, launching the Portals token, that's going to be a real accelerator for the full vision of the platform, which is decentralized Roblox. So creator grants, everything that allows the broader space to really participate and build content and build out the functionality and build everything out that we kind of have over the next have on the roadmap over the next 6 to 12 months, but very much accelerated. So that's it in a nutshell. But I mean, despite some of the sentiment around crypto games, we're super bullish on games. I think the industry is maturing. You're starting to see which platforms and games really are finding an audience and generating revenue. They're definitely out there. So whether it's crypto native approach or more of a hybrid approach with reaching Web 2 gamers that have more of the crypto elements behind the scenes, where the crypto pieces are optional but are a great way to to start to show some of the magic of interoperability. And we know that a lot of the folks in the games industry are very bullish on the interoperable aspects. So it's not something that's on its own going to create a massive swell of interest. You still need really fun game experiences as your core, but a lot of the big industry players, Fortnite and Epic Games, they've been talking about opening up. You buy an item in Fortnite and you can bring it into Roblox, you could bring it into Portals, you could bring it into Star Atlas, and like they're very serious about that being part of the future as something that grows the games economy as a whole, grows the games GDP, which is already huge, but they see that as like one of the fundamental missing pieces to really unlock things. So those are all things that are happening, and there's a lot of other huge Web2 studios that also believe that and are also kind of moving in that direction. So despite some of the sentiment, like major things are happening, there's the industry is really maturing and awesome things are happening. So yeah, super excited.
Super exciting. I know we've run up over time, but I just wanted to say a massive thank you to Gomez and yourself, Craig, for jumping in today. Really exciting conversation, how we've covered what both projects are looking at in terms of roadmaps, their views on AI, in-game economies, and the future of where gaming is going. That interoperability that you mentioned there is going to be massive, both Web2 and Web3 games. So really, really excited. I just wanted to give you guys an opportunity for any closing comments before we discuss the giveaway one more time, and then we'll wrap up for the day. Amazing. Okay, cool. So we are giving away a Portal Solana sword today. All you need to do is repost this live stream, follow Portals, and follow the Super Phoenix DAO. My name is Pav. I've been your host for today. I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. It's been a pleasure having you both, guys. Thank you for joining.
Awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, Pav. Appreciate it.
Amazing. Speak to you guys soon. Take care.
Bye.